What is up, people? It is Brian Alsruhe from NeverState.com, and today we're going to talk about how to be good at anything. Relatively anything. So since I was about 12, I've read Miyamoto Musashi's Book of Five Rings literally probably like 30 times. I've read it a lot. And if you have absolutely no idea who Miyamoto Musashi is, number one, slap yourself in the face, and number two, he was the greatest swordsman of all time who wrote this book all based on strategy. He was one of the first people to ever use like psychological tactics on his opponents. He did such amazing things. But one of the biggest takeaways of the book is that if you can learn to be successful in one thing, you can apply those same principles and the essence of that thing to other things in your life, and you can become very good at a lot of things if you just stick to principles. Now, I did not know if I believed this when I started reading this book when I was 12 years old, but now that I am 37, and I've seen it play so many areas of my life and other people's lives around me, I 100% believe this. And so what I decided to do is, since I cannot really do too much weightlifting right now because of my torn rotator cuff, I decided to start applying these things to wood carving, which is a little more static than strongman, but it does give me a good opportunity for my shoulder to heal up. So I've been spending a lot of time with that. Now, wood carving has been something that I've been interested in for a very long time. When I was young, I used to draw a lot. I was always an artistic kid, but then as sports came into my life, that kind of moved itself out, and I stopped drawing as much. But I've always been entertained whenever I go to a museum or something like that. I look at the paintings and I'm amazed by them, and they are absolutely incredible. However, I've always been drawn to like the big statues carved out of marble, where it's like one block of marble and they carved this entire incredible statue, super delicate, super intricate, all these things through that one big piece. And I've always wanted to do it, but it always seemed really, really overwhelming. But now that I have a little bit more time, I figured, since it's always been one of my life goals to be able to do that, and I always figured when I had the time, I would focus on that. But now I have a little bit extra time and not able to do the things that I really love to do. So I figured I might as well throw my hand at this. So that said, last week was my very first week of carving, and I made 3 different things. The first one was this hollowed out spiral. As you guys can see, you pretty much just start carving in a spiral, and then you continue to work it until you can see through the wood, which is pretty incredible. The second thing, when I was 30 years old, my dad made me a chessboard by hand, and it's absolutely beautiful, and I have some really cool chess pieces for it, but I would like to make my own because my dad made a chessboard. I thought it'd be cool if I made chess pieces, so I decided to make a knight because I think they're the coolest chess pieces anyway. So as you guys can see, I don't know if it's, there's my knight. Here's the thing, looks like a knight from there. T-Rex. Knight, T-Rex. Playing chess, Game of Thrones. Chess, Game of Thrones. You're still good though, buddy, I like you. And then the third piece I made this week was actually this kind of like Celtic braid type of thing, where again, it's another hollow spiral that is basically just hollowing out a piece of wood. If you guys, hold on. Come on. But to give you guys an idea, this piece started out like this one started out like this, and this one started out like this. So basically what I'm gonna do is tell you guys about the principles. Like I said, I've been reading this book for many, many years now, and I actually started reading it because I was very involved in martial arts, and when you're involved in martial arts, you know exactly who Miyamoto Musashi is. So I started applying his principles to my martial arts training when I was young, and that continued through my fight training to this day. I still apply those same principles, but I applied those principles to my weightlifting career, and that made me pretty successful with lifting heavy things. And now I'm applying these same principles to the wood carving. So I just want to talk to you guys a little bit about a couple of the principles that I use in my life to make things just go simpler, and really to help me focus on things that are important in the journey as opposed to the things that really aren't that important and will sidetrack you and make you take a lot longer getting better at something than you would otherwise. So let's get into that. All right, so the very first thing is the principle of action and consistency. So I know a lot of people talk about things they're gonna do, and they have a lot of words, and trust me, your words do hold meaning. If words come out of your mouth, you cannot get them back. Whatever you throw them out there for, whether it be on the internet or whatever the case may be, you cannot get those words back. So you really need to think about that. If you say you're gonna do something, you better do it, because that is part of being a good charactered adult, individual, human being. If you're gonna say you're gonna do something, you better show up for it. But most people won't even do that. But all of the talking in the world means absolutely nothing without action. And I know a lot of times when you're getting ready to start something brand new, it is going to be hard. Things that are new are always hard. Riding a bike was hard at first. Carving wood is hard at first. Lifting weights is hard at first. And it always seems very overwhelming. If you ask me to tear down the engine of a car, I couldn't do it. I don't know. It seems very overwhelming to me because there's a lot of things about that that I do not know and I do not understand. However, if I just broke those things down into small principles, I'm sure I could handle it. And that is exactly what's going on here. Things seem very overwhelming in the lifting world. If you're new to the game, it seems like there's 10,000 things under the sun and you don't know where to start and you don't know what to do. I was the same way with wood carving. But guys, all that it is just getting in there and start doing something. If you start moving, the action will take care of itself. Motivation follows action. Action does not follow motivation. So if you're waiting to be inspired before you go to the gym or waiting until a certain date, like I will start my diet on Monday or I'll start my diet at the beginning of the year or whatever the case may be, it is never going to happen, guys. There is no better time than right now to start. Whatever it is that you're thinking about doing, just go in and start trying it. Start playing around with it. Start becoming familiar with it so it seems less scary and less so intimidating to get involved. And then the second part of this principle is the consistency. So once you're doing that, you just need to continue to do that and outlast everyone else. So it is December, which means that the New Year's crowd is coming to the gym very, very soon. And you guys know it. A bunch of people flood into the gym and they'll stay there for about 2 weeks. Some people will even stay there for like a month and then they'll fall off and then your gym will be its normal level of busyness again. Those people who fall off will never ever get to where they want to go in life because they're just not willing to stick it out because they're focusing too much on how they feel about a certain thing rather than focusing on the goal. And that is something that's very, very important. If you are so focused on how you feel about it, whether you want to do it or you don't want to do it or you're fighting it the whole way or whatever the case may be, and this goes for all areas of life, if you are doing that, it is not going to go well for you. You literally need to put your feelings about the situation aside and simply get the work done. If you said you were going to the gym for an hour on Tuesday, then you better be at the gym for an hour Tuesday. Even if you're just there messing around, doing what you can, trying to learn things, you said you're going to be there, be there. And if you can outlast people, I've been in the sport 23 years. I've outlasted most of the people I know, and I'm better than most of the people I know, not because I am some freak of genetics or whatever the case may be. It's simply because I've just done it longer. I put more reps in because I showed up more often. So no matter what the thing that it is that you want to do, start today and don't stop forever. Forever. Principle number 2 is focus on the basics. And I know this is not fun because everyone wants to do the latest gadget or new exercise or new workout or new fad or whatever the case may be, but they do not want to work on the basics. But here's the things, guys. The same stuff that has worked from the beginning of time until now is the same exact stuff that has always worked. There is nothing new under the sun. All of the programs that I write are not special. Yes, people are doing amazing things with them, and that is terrific. But it's nothing new, guys. This is all stuff that I've learned from other people, try to create my own style, and go with it. You need to do the exact same thing. Do not focus so much on the latest fad that's coming out of all the muscle magazines or websites or whatever the case may be. They're throwing out these new things saying, this is the latest and greatest supplement. This is the latest and greatest exercise. This is what you need to do to get your deadlift to 1,000 pounds. All those things do not matter. What matters are the basics, and you will never be able to get into the more advanced stages if those basics are not set up. And a lot of people send me stuff to critique, whether it be form videos or check out my deadlift or this or that. And there's always stuff that can be fixed, which doesn't mean necessarily that you're not working on the basics. It means that this is a hard game and it's going to continually work. I learn new things every single time that I walk into the gym. However, if you are not focused on the basics and you're focused on a bunch of other stuff, then you're being busy. You're not being productive. If you ask any of the top strength or bodybuilding or whatever athletes in the world, they're going to tell you the exact same 10 exercises that have worked for them. And it goes across the board. Strength is 100% a skill, but you cannot walk until you crawl. And if you don't spend much time crawling and walking instead of just jumping right into running, you're either gonna injure yourself or you're not gonna make any progress. A perfect example of this are boxers. So boxers are absolutely amazing at their craft. You see guys bobbing, weaving, slipping punches, counter punching, throwing uppercuts, throwing hooks, but it's basically 4 punches. Every single boxer that's ever lived has 2 hands and is based off of 4 basic punches. They've just learned the timing, the footwork, exactly the distance. They've thrown those 4 punches so many times that it is absolutely beautiful and amazing. And if you think you can stand up against a pro boxer, good luck. But what the best boxers in the world have done is taken something complex like a world championship boxing match, which is high level reasoning. Trust me, it is just not a sport. There is a lot of reasoning, a lot of calculations and strategy going on there. And they've taken all of that and they've boiled it down to its most condensed thing, so it's dangerous. It is just like when you start lifting and you start thinking about accumulating snow. You're just gaining knowledge, you're gaining things, you're trying to learn the form, you're trying to learn technique, you're trying to learn bracing, you're doing all those things, and you're just accumulating snow. And then once you have enough snow, you can start packing it down. And then you keep packing it down, and year after year, you keep packing this thing down until you get something that's small and compact and dangerous and actually usable in a violent or in a super just amazing manner. But if you spend all your time just continually accumulating new snow and learning new things and trying to add new things to your training and add the new latest fads and things like that, then you're never gonna get anywhere with your training. You really need to focus on your basics. Oftentimes the overcomplication of things like lifting weights or wood carving comes from people who are trying to sell things. So whether it be supplement companies or people selling programs or people selling books or whatever the case may be, it is a lot of people trying to make things more complicated than they actually are so that people will look at that and say, oh, this must be more complicated than it actually is. And they sound like they know what they're talking about, so I will trust them and I will buy into this. But that's simply not the case. I literally do my best on this channel to dumb things down as much as possible so that everyone can understand them, and it can be as basic as possible so that each one of you can continually make progress so you can get to where you want to go. Unintelligent people complicate things. They try to make things more busy and more complicated than they actually need to be. The smartest people in the world can take a super complicated thing, dumb it down so someone like me can understand it, and they place it in a form that is so digestible and so easy to use that somebody like me can understand and move forward and actually enjoy the same thing that someone who has spent all this time learning all the complicated stuff can also do, just because a super intelligent individual took something complicated, really took the essence of it, just like I'm doing with this video, the principles, and they boil it down and they hand it to you and they say, this is the important stuff that you need to know. Do not waste your time on things that I did, that I wasted my time on. This is what you need to do. And that is exactly what I'm trying to do here. But you cannot do that if you're not focused on making your basics as perfect as possible.